gamers? I'm Brian from Warpainting Services, and today I want to talk about Tyranids in 6th edition. The main reason being because they took a huge hit with the 6th edition release, and, well, a lot of people are having troubles finding out how to make their Tyranid list work. Now, I'm just doing this as a starting point for everyone, especially new people who are looking to get into Warhammer 40k, or want to get into Tyranids at some point soon, because a lot of people out there are having troubles, including some of my friends who are playing Tyranids right now. So, I wanted to throw out some ideas and suggestions. So I'm going to run through the list and give you my opinions on a couple different units and how important I feel they are to the Tyranid list now. Now, why do the Tyranids suck more? Well, A, you can't assault from deep striking, which is something Tyranids were really good at, and B, Tyranids don't have allies, something that every other army got. Now, I understand from the fluff point of view, that does make sense, but every other army now at least has the option to look into other army lists and try to fill out some weaknesses that they have. For instance, Tau can get some Thunderhand Terminators with Storm Shields and put them in front of their broadsides. Tyranids don't get to do that. Tyranids get their army book, which was exactly the same as it was. Now, Games Workshop has mentioned in some recent interviews and stuff that they are aware that Tyranids are not powerful anymore at all, and they're looking to address that. I would imagine that in the future we are going to see a White Dwarf update for the Tyranid book, but until that happens, here is a starting point for you. A little disclaimer for you, I'm not a tournament player. I don't play Tyranids, I play Necrons. And I am not an expert at 40k. I just want to offer some perspectives. Maybe help you think differently about your Tyranid list. So, here we go and enjoy, everyone. Alright, well, the first thing I'd like to mention is Ymgarl Genestealers. If you don't know what Ymgarl Genestealers are, they're basically an elite choice that allows you to deep strike. That is correct. Genestealers are awesome on their own, but Ymgarl Genestealers have an ability called Dormant. What it does is it lets you put the Ymgarl Genestealers into a piece of terrain at the beginning of the game, but they're hidden from your opponent, and then you get to make reserve rolls, and eventually they reveal themselves. And when they're revealed, they may attack and move as normal, instead of the whole deep striking and being stuck there and shot at for a round. That is awesome. I think Ymgarl Genestealers allow for some of the best strategy, at least as far as an elite choice goes, because think of it in two ways. First, you've got a kill point scenario where putting them in a very good spot would allow you to take out some sort of nasty and annoying thing in the back, or someone who's trying to outflank you, something along those lines, and you're there to take care of them immediately. The other side is objective games, including the Relic, where you can either cut off their path, or put yourself in a situation where you can contest another objective really easily. And I honestly think that makes them one of the strongest elite choices in the Tyranid list, if not one of the better choices in the Tyranid list altogether. As I said, just their strategic possibilities are great, with kind of a downside, but it's a minor one, in my opinion. The downside is, if they're revealed and there's opponents within an inch of where Ymgarl Genestealer pops out, it's destroyed. So if you happen to pop out and your area terrain's already taken up by an enemy, all your guys are dead. With that being said, though, if you're smart enough to actually deploy well and select a good spot, you shouldn't have that too much of a problem with that. The only way I could see that being a huge issue is if you're playing something like Orcs or another army who's just at a ton of units and they're spread out wildly across the board. But otherwise, you should be able to get around that with just some really, really smart planning. So, Ymgarl Jeansteelers, highly recommend to make your Tyranid list work. Alright, Turbagons. I would run Turbagons myself. In fact, I probably would run 2 Turbagons if I was doing a Tyranid list, because they're allowing you to bring Catalyst to the field. What Catalyst does is give your units feel no pain. And when you've got Genestealers or Termagants or Hormagaunts who are so easily picked off, when you're saving when you're starting to save half of your saving throws, if not more, because you feel no pain is in addition to your regular save, that's pretty good. Because if you can get I don't know, a third of your Hormagaunts across the board instead of like 2/5 of them, that's a lot more damage you're going to be able to cause later in the game. Why would you not want to do that? Tervigons are awesome for this. They also allow you to spawn Termagants. On average in a game, you're probably going to get 10 to 20 out of every Tervigon. Which again leads to me saying, it's probably why I would run 2, because 40 more Termagants, that's a lot of shooting. Now, with that said, if you're doing a kill point scenario, yeah, you have the possibility of spawning really small numbers of extra units that are also extra kill points. I think you can hold off on the spawning, and if I was doing kill points, I might wait till later in order to do that, because that way they have less of a chance of killing your new little units. But in, like, a scenario where you've got to capture objectives, you're getting more units for free. There are units that can capture objective. That's not bad at all. Why would you not run this? I don't know. I think Turbagons are actually really amazing and probably one of the most versatile things on the actual Tyranid list. So, another thing to consider, run some Turbagons. I'm pretty sure anyone who actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to Tyranids probably already knows how good these units are. But, as I said, this is mostly for beginners, so Turbagons, guys, think about them. Some other units that I think are probably going to be elevated to be a little bit more important to a list for Tyranids right now is probably going to be Shrikes, however you pronounce them, and Gargoyles, because they have the already innate ability to get across the board faster. And for Tyranids, since the army is primarily dependent upon close combat, even if you're getting not as strong things across the board a little bit faster to help gum up the shooting, that allows you to help protect your more deadly things as they trudge across the board. Because your Hive Tyrant with Tyrant Guard, or your Tervigon, or your Trygon are going to be not moving quite as fast. And the less shooting you can allow at them, the longer they're going to survive. So I think we've elevated a little the importance of having Shrikes and Gargoyles run across the field and start causing havoc amongst the shooting ranks. Because without that, in 6th edition, Tyranids would just run into walls of fire with constantly moving back forces. I think Tau would be almost impossible for you to beat if you couldn't do something like that. So, these little flying units that can move really fast, I think they're important in 6th edition. The next thing on the list I want to talk about is something I find to be difficult to play, but fun to play. Just based on how it actually works. This unit is called the Doom of Malan'tai. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a zoanthrope, but it is infamous from like wiping out Eldar on Malan'tai, thus its name. What it does is basically plop down on the field and start making units within 6 inches of it take leadership tests, enemy units. And by however many points they fail the leadership tests on 3 dice, the units take that many wounds. Now, they are allowed certain saves from the Doom of Malantai's ability, but any unsaved wound, the Doom of Malan'tai leeches off to them up to 10 wounds total. And on top of that, he's got a special attack that strength equals the amount of wounds he has. And yeah, sure, he gets hurt when he uses his attack, but if he causes wounds with it, he gets them right back. Now, the reason why I say this is difficult to play is because I think the Doom of Malan'tai is really hard to decide how to successfully use it to its maximum effectiveness. However, its abilities are cool. Now, the reason why I bring this up, though, is because I think it's very important as far as strategy and mind games with your opponent. What do I mean by that? I mean, the Doom of Malan'tai forces your opponent to make a choice. A difficult choice. The Doom of Malan'tai is now sitting amongst his guys, leeching wounds off of it, making itself stronger and everything around it weaker. Your opponent now has to make the decision of, how much of a threat is this to me? How much of a threat is everything else from it to me? What can I dedicate to trying to get rid of this? Can I just ignore it and avoid it? How much of what's actually coming across the board at me can I ignore for try to take out this Doom? Think about how many of these questions your opponent now has to ask himself just because you placed one model on the board. I think when you're able to make your opponent ask himself that many questions, you are using a really, really strong unit or model. Now, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, the Doom of Malan'tai is easy to take down, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, maybe, but you have 2 shooting phases, which it gets to leech off your gets to leech off wounds from units all around it. Now, you could simply just move away from it, but if you're doing that, you're also likely putting yourself in the harm's way from other Tyranids. As I said, it helps make your opponent have to make really difficult decisions. And when your opponent has to make difficult decisions, he's more likely to make mistakes and more likely to allow you to win the game. So, Doom of Malan'tai, I really think, is just good for trying to force your opponent to make choices. And it's a unit that I don't see many other army lists really getting. I can't think of, I run Necrons, and I can't think of anything that I could just drop on the field and force so many questions to be having to be made. The closest thing I can come up with is a Catan Shard, and even then, I don't think Catan Shards are quite as annoying as a Doom of Malan'tai. So, consider the Doom of Malan'tai for your army list. Now, there is no actual model for it, but making a conversion of it's not that difficult. Just stick some extra things onto a Zoanthrope. It looks nice enough for it to be a different model. Or, ask me what sort of things I would do, because I have my own ideas. In fact, I actually have a conversion idea for it that involves some Tomb King stuff. But, yeah. Doom of Malan'tai. Awesome. Now, I've not talked about HQ choices yet, and I wanted to save that for last. I don't think there's any really bad HQ choices, but my personal opinion and choice would be a Hive Tyrant, because it allows you to have an extra bonus to your reserve rolls, and it allows Outflank for a unit that's in reserve. And I think both of those are just reasons enough to take a Hive Tyrant, not to mention that it is a really annoying model. And I would stick some Tyrant Guard with that thing, because Tyrant Guards are basically just extra wounds and extra attacks, especially with how wound allocation works in 6th edition now. That's just awesome. I think Hive Tyrant with some Tyrant Guard has become a much stronger unit, a much more annoying threat. And the bonuses you get from it for the points is really good in my opinion. I would run it myself if I was doing Tyranids. In fact, this little talk here is maybe really consider trying to throw together a really small point Tyranid army so I can do a bat rep for you guys. But as I said, I'm still building my Necron force, and I love Necrons to death. Anyways, that would be my HQ choice if I had to choose one. So those are some of my opinions on the present state of Tyranids in 6th edition. Now, I do encourage everyone to go and seek out other sources and other discussions about the Tyranid list, because my word is not final. I'm just giving you a place to start out. Hopefully you enjoyed this and you got some alternate opinions and thinking on your actual Tyranid list. I know I didn't cover everything, but as I said, I wasn't going to. Questions, comments below. If you like this, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you want to get into want to see this stuff sooner instead of having to seek me out and find it. Or, I do painting and assembly commissions, so if you want to get a quote or want to commission something, I'll put links below, and go ahead and contact me at my email. I think I'm fair in my prices, especially for the work that I do. I do pretty decent work. Hopefully I'll get a job on one of the bigger places eventually, but right now I'm just trying to make a little extra money. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later, and enjoy your games.